Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me for this segment, we have Charles Gillespie, CEO of Nasdaq-listed gambling.com, to discuss the trajectory of sports betting and the biggest drivers of revenue and engagement. Charles, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Thanks, Jill. Happy to be here.
All right, you got it. And what does the trajectory look like for sports betting?
Well, the growth of the industry over the last several years has been, frankly, unstoppable in the United States. We had New York launch at the beginning of the year. We've had a number of other states come online. We have more states coming online just in the next couple of months. You've got Maryland set to go live on a kind of rolling basis with new online gambling service providers. And then you also have Ohio, which is the big one that a lot of the industry is focused on, which should be launching on January 1st.
Well, that does sound exciting. Why do you think that they're ready to come online at this point?
Well, it's really first and foremost a question of legislation. You know, can the state legislators approve the activity? And then the next step is for the regulators to put all the little policies and processes in place so that they can actually launch the market. Different states take different amounts of time to get live. Massachusetts is also expected to go live next year. And, you know, we've seen kind of all different speeds at which these regulators act. New York was actually quite quick and beat a lot of people's expectations and caught some folks off guard in how quickly they went live, whereas Maryland has taken quite a while, but should be probably the next one up.
And sports betting has been prevalent for decades in the United States. Is it safer now for consumers?
Absolutely. So, you know, sports betting is all over the news and you see it everywhere these days. And what's new is not sports betting. What's new is regulated sports betting. You know, anybody basically with an internet connection and a credit card and, you know, as of late, access to crypto could bet with a offshore online gambling website. And frankly, that's not new. That's been around for 25 years. But with New Jersey regulating sports betting in 2018 and you know, the 20 plus states which have followed since, what's really changed is that the activities come onshore, which means you actually have proper regulation, you have oversight of these companies, you have taxation, you have problem gambling support, you've got the money going to good causes. You know, it's a completely different world than it used to be, and consumers should absolutely feel far more safe than they used to in terms of their you know, the safety and frankly the quality of the products that they can get online legally. Now, it still depends on what state they're in. You know, not every state is up and running, and different states have different service providers, and that's why our business provides online comparison websites, online guides, basically to help people find the actual legal regulated online sports betting and online casino companies, which are available to them in each state where they may happen to be.
Let's talk about the macro environment for a moment. I was surprised to see in the notes that a recession can potentially be good for sports betting. How is that so?
I think you can look at sports betting like it's an industry that is somewhat resistant to economic pressure. It's entertainment at the end of the day. It doesn't have to be expensive. You know, you don't have to bet large amounts of money. You can put $10 on your team this weekend and make the match more exciting. So it does have certain characteristics which have historically shown that the industry is fairly resilient to a point in the face of some economic headwinds.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point that you make. It's certainly cheaper than having to go to a casino and go to the sports book to place the bet. So it certainly is more cost effective and convenient doing it from your mobile device. So let's talk about the biggest drivers of revenue and engagement for the industry.
The biggest drivers at this point is basically expansion of the total addressable market. Not to, you know, go into finance speak, but as each one of these new states comes online, that is a very meaningful expansion in the total amount of money that can be made by the online gambling companies. The pace of the rollout in the US has been pretty overwhelming. It has kept the industry incredibly busy for the last couple of years. 2022 fell a bit short in terms of the legislative activity to legislate for new states. We got Kansas and they launched fairly quickly on September 1st, but we did not succeed with California. There was a very highly publicized ballot initiative in California. There were multiple competing proposals. There were hundreds of millions of dollars spent on each side of it. But at the end of the day, the consumer was, the average person in California was just completely overwhelmed and confused by these proposals. The messaging wasn't very clear, and unfortunately those failed. But I wouldn't read too much into that in terms of its effects beyond California. Most other states will be able to regulate simply with their legislators taking action. And it's not like the people of California don't want sports betting. The people of California just need a clear proposal that's not confusing. And I think if the industry comes back in 2024 with another ballot initiative and the messaging is far simpler, such as, would you like to bet on the Rams with your mobile phone? I think the results will be very different.
Right. Wouldn't it make sense for states to be open to sports betting? Don't they collect a decent amount of revenue from this?
Absolutely. I mean, there's really no logical reason for them not to regulate sports betting. If you're anti-gambling or you're, a state with, very, let's say, puritanical values, that doesn't mean that sports betting is not happening in your state. It is happening. It's happening offline. It's happening at the corner bookie. It's happening online, offshore, and you can't control any of that. So, the kind of only logical way to approach the industry really is to regulate it, collect the tax revenue, and first and foremost, above all else, protect people. You cannot deliver meaningful problem gambling protection in an industry which you pretend does not exist.
All right. Appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.